Good morning, good morning, good morning to everybody. Let's play some music and I'll see you in a few. Let's start. Something wrong with the sound. Let's not forget we are in Mercury retrograde. Guess who is here? Let me grab a glass of water. Tea, madam. This one, huh? Sophie, I'm going to say hi to everybody. Huh? Will you say hi? Hi, madam? Hi, madam? Morning, Nitin Yogi. I guess she's going to be here later. Put this a little bit. Hello, Kylie. Hello, Chris. Hello, Kelsey. Swati Earth Angel, hello from India. Hello, Carolyn. Ah, yes, our cats. Hey, bonjour, Lynn. Comment ça va? Ladies and gentlemen, Bianca is in the house, and Safi's in the house too. Yes, my cats are indoor cats, and I can't wait to move because they will have outdoors as well. So we are guys still in a Gemini period, and it's a Mercury retrograde in Gemini. How is that serving you? Any issues over there? Any problems? I had massive Mercury retrograde over the last few days. Really massive. So hopefully you had nothing like that happening to you because, well, let me tell you, it wasn't fun at all. So we are going to jump right in. We are going to start with Gemini. Where is Barbie? That's Safi. Safi, that means you're not paying attention to me. Can you hear that? Safi? Oh, you have the winter there like we have. Really? Come on, Safi girl. Come on. Come on. Come over here. Come over. Where are you? Oh my gosh, can't you see how demanding she really is? That's kind of like cute. I really think. Oh, I need my notebook to put the timestamps, which means I need to erase the previous timestamp. Just one more second. Good thing I remembered. We are still doing good time. So we are going to do a really quickie today. It's going to be just kind of like mid-month touch-up. And if I am doing your sign or sign that you're interested in because you're on live, I want to give you ability to kind of like inquire, so you can ask questions. Just make sure you quickly ask a question. I have a delay on my side when I'm doing the reading, so I'll make a little bit pause just to see if there are any questions, and I can kind of like do that. So let's see. Caroline, love like cats, takes lots of money buying a cat litter. You know what, you should see how expensive it is to have a dog, and every single time just getting a treat here and treat there, it kind of like costs more than a kid, that's for sure. So I'm doing this light seers tarot because I'm still kind of like savoring it. It's like still so very nice. And so let's do this and start. Gemini. So it is your timestamp here, and let's start, Gemini. What I see over here. Let's see. Geminis. Let's see. Oops, we got zillions cards here, and I am going to just actually take this one. Is it one or two? It's one. And you have a 10 of Wands here reversed. So I'm going to leave it this way. Then you got a bundle, but I'm not going to take the bundle. I'm just going to grab the cards individual. Oh, you have a Queen of Cups. And one more. This one wants to come out. And you have a Queen of Swords. Oh, so Gemini, and this is like my fan from behind me, and I hope it's not going to start to create too many problems. So 10 of Wands reverse is actually a good card. In this card, it's like a very different interpretation than what you see in the other decks, right? Where you see the guy carrying the baggage. Somebody is carrying her baggage here for her, so she doesn't have, and she doesn't climb up, she's climbing down. However, there is a reversal over here. So what we see in this reversal, we see that the baggage is falling off. So even the necessity she thought she needs to have, kind of like what is near and dear to you, it's at this stage kind of like mute. Oh, I have to fix something. I'm just realizing that my air conditioning have a opening here, which will be good enough for my kitty cats to go there and jump off the freaking third floor. So there we go. Who knows, maybe they did it. Once I saw my cat walking outside on the ledge, and I almost had a heart attack, and meanwhile she's like, do, I'm coming back. It's just like, oh my god, it was like so unnerving. My apology, I'm coughing again, and allergies are still very bad. So in the reversal over here for you guys, I think this is kind of like coming with some kind of like revelation. And this is reading important for all of us. You're going through Mercury retrograde in Gemini, and this is going to really apply on everybody at this stage because it's such a very strong influence. And it's going to be, I believe, until, is it 21st to 20th or to 20th, 21st to 22nd, not sure. You guys can check it up. I don't know, like a Barbie is here. There she is. Hello, Barbie. So, see, Kylie, you're calling a ghost, and ghost appears. So, this really means that something is being revealed, something that maybe has been hidden, something that has been hard, some kind of like hurdles are going on, and like there is like some kind of like rebalancing of emotions, I would say, over here, right? Because Queen of Cups is not a natural domain for Gemini. Queen of Cups would be quite the opposite. I mean, Queen of Swords is pretty much where, you know, Geminis want to be. So this is kind of like uncharted territory of some sort. So I would say, Gemini, that you might experience some ups and downs, but overall, even though you might think it's a turbulence, it's almost like the airplane is going through, you know, like, I mean, some kind of like wind or so, or like, you know, kind of like birds. This is kind of like really different. It kind of tells me that you're affected emotionally. And Queen of Cups is nurturing quality, and maybe it's simply recognizing a need that you need to kind of like do something, that you need to kind of like pull yourself together, that maybe you need nourishment, maybe you need to slow down, because technically we air signs, when something is going on, we speed everything up, because speed is basically the name of an air sign. Like, you need something done quick, hire an air sign. You need to done something, you know, with high quality, hire a earth sign, right? So you know how they say quick and quality, kind of like that's the triangle, right? and what comes with it cost. But here it's really telling me that there is like this kind of like nourishing need in the air, which in fact is going to establish your equilibrium, and that's kind of like looking forward. Queen of Swords is like lovely in this deck. I mean, we can all understand I'm on top of the world, I conquered. These are kind of like victory flags over here, like I mean there are eagles flying over here. It's almost like feeling one with the nature, feeling on top of the world. So there's like a success. So if you guys had something coming into this period, and if you guys are Gemini, now it's a good time to ask any questions. If you're coming into this period with wondering about some secrets, or you were unsure about outcome of something, right? Maybe something created emotional turmoil. Now everything is going to come to the place where you feel comfort with yourself, where you can again raise again from the ashes and be on the top. So this is very, very important over here. So let's see what we have here. Any questions about Geminis over here? I mean, Geminis are also the counterbalance for Sagittarius. So it's like, I mean, cosmic teeter-totter. So if Gemini is affected, then of course Sagittarius will be affected. And if you have any kind of like squares in your chart that are kind of like going with either Mercury or with Gemini positioning, that's going to be even more important. The only time that Mercury retrograde is not going to really affect you, it's like if you have been born during Mercury retrograde, and that's, you're going to see it in your chart. But then again, everything else is a mess for you otherwise, right? So let's do that. So that's a Gemini for now. Any questions, guys? Last call, last call, last call, last call. And this is so great, Kylie, that you're ready to jump in. Thank you so much. And I think this is like for Barbie to kind of like cut through her day, and it's absolutely lovely. And I love you too, Barbie. I love all my mods and everybody who comes here. What is it today? It's everybody's on a strike, only 6 people here. That's okay. We're going to have a small party, and cheers. Here's my coffee with lemon. Let's enjoy it. So who is next? Mid-month touch-up for Kylie. Good energy for my Sag, getting clear downloads and feeling energized. That's really amazing energy. So next one is Leo. So let's do Leo stamp. Leo. Okay, where is your little tag? Leo. So let's do it, Leo. It's 11:11 right now. Leo, there is like some special message that you'll be getting. It's June 12th, but it's 11:11 at this stage. So let's see what, oops, look at that. You have 4 of Wands, then you have 6 of Swords reversed, and you have 5 of Swords. It's almost like going to be the opposite of what Gemini is going to be experiencing. Like, right? So when I do the touch-up, like, right, monthly, how I look at it is like that monthly is still monthly, right? You see kind of like what is projected for this month. So this is more or less looking into, okay, so now we're almost like halfway through the month, and you have already experienced certain occurrences, good and bad, or both, right? And now like you kind of like already have a focus, you already have a flavor of the month. So this is more or less talking about how you are handling those hurdles, how you're handling these good things. Because for Leo, I'm seeing there's like some sense of victory. Look at that. This is kind of like the lovely dancing celebration. It's almost like either gypsy or some kind of like circus atmosphere. In any case, I see this happiness, and this is kind of like abundance of the things. But then you are going to experience somebody who is entering your life, because the swords are entering from the fire. You are fire. Fire is almost like normal to you. It's like if somebody likes warm weather, right? So when you're in that weather, it's just perfect for you. Just like, I mean, little pea in a pod. The moment when you go in Arctic weather, you're going to go, oh my God, I have to get out of here, right? So swords kind of like are still okay for you, because you're able to carry that energy. Swords having the highest energy of all, and that's why the swords with the highest and sorry, I don't know if I can say the highest, rather highest vibration. I don't want to think like, I mean, this is better than anything else, because each of the groupations have something. Because on the other side you have water, which they have kind of like the deepest kind of a thing. And kind of like I have to do this. All right, so let me just do this. All right, so what's basically happening right now is that I'm seeing, so you see, like, I mean, I forget this and then it takes me off my train of thought, which I kind of like, I have a nice picture and I have to evoke this imagery that I had. So I think somebody's coming in your life, because the Six of Swords is about coming back, and it's coming back to the old issues, right? Like, you see, even in this deck, even going forward, it looks really weird. It's just not, she's not a happy camper. And here I don't even see, like, we see the clouds behind her, right? But we see these like big waves ahead of her, even though I don't know, actually I don't know if you would interpret this as a shore. If this is a shore, then it would be more positive, but if this is all just, you know, coastal line, it would be like, holy smoke, this is not the best kind of like place to be. But when this is reversed, it doesn't matter if this is a shore. So there is like going from the safety to back to something. And I don't feel this is you, Leo. I feel that you're going to have some kind of like circumstances that will be bringing some old stuff. And it could be just simply Mercury retrograde, but check it out. Like these two cards, the swords cards, that high energy, and the swords are usually about resolving things. Swords are usually about kind of like pushing things forward, right? So what's basically happening all together, we are getting to 15, and 15 is the devil. And that would make sense to me, that this could be like return of the exes over here, right? It could be somebody's contacting you from the past. Technically, it doesn't even have to happen, that something can resurface, and it can be completely new person, completely new circumstance, and it's like, holy smoke, I still didn't get rid of that feeling, and that feeling is making me small, or that feeling is making me minimized, or why do I always shrink and I don't stand up for myself, kind of a things, right? So there are kind of like lots of issues that are really happening over here, because then Five of Swords, it talks about a fight or argument, and Five of Swords always talks about, and you see like these are kind of like, if you really think, 5 usually comes before 6, but because she's reversing, it makes sense then, right? Like reversal goes back to 5. It's almost like Mercury retrograde does that to us. Like we go to the old circumstance that hasn't been fully fixed or healed or addressed. Kind of like really there is like some kind of like issue, and those, I guess, would they be crows over here, right? That we are seeing. This is kind of like really interesting, because that little thing, it would be interesting to see what they say in their booklet here. It almost looks to me, it would be my interpretation without reading it, that there is like a liftoff. It's an energy liftoff from him. There's like in his, everything is happening in his head. It's kind of like we can affect what's going on around us. We can affect in which direction this is really going. But Five of Swords is also a card that really talks about winning at any cost. And maybe this simply could mean, for example, that there's like either some bad feelings, or somebody's pushing your buttons, something from the past, something that you previously dealt with that made you that you left you bitter or frustrated or disappointed, that now you're saying, oh, again, and here we go again, did we not address this? And you are pissed. Five of Swords is when you get pissed, and you don't care if these people were nice, and you do not care if maybe they were, let's say, good-minded. The fact that they were ineffective, because that's kind of like what the swords are. Are you effective? You're not effective. You're a nice person? Well, I don't need water right now. I just need somebody effective, or I need for me to resolve the situation once for all. Let's see what they said over here. That's kind of interesting. Caroline, you're full of icons over here. I can close them. So let's see, what did they say? And this kind of lift-off is like maybe understanding that this whole energies need to work for you. Let's see what they say. It says conflict, unfair advantage, experiencing loss, the need to build your skills and your confidence, and hollow victories. You may have experienced an unexpected loss that has left you a little bit sore. Sometimes life isn't fair, and these inequities can drain our energy for much longer than they need to. Often, it's the fear of failure that does most of the draining. If you're feeling outsmarted or outjusted, remember that one chapter doesn't define you. Wins and losses are both a part of the human experience, and the keys to self-improvement lie dormant inside difficulties. You need to boost your consciousness and upgrade your skills. So that's why it means boost, like inner strength, kind of like needs to be addressed. And the obsessive desire to win can have us stopping at nothing to feel victorious. So pretty much they address the same kind of like thing that I felt and kind of like delivered. So there you go. You're welcome, Carolyn. Like Carolyn is like really chatty. This is good to see, because usually we have like, I mean, the regulars who are like carrying this kind of like thing. So it's a good thing that they're kind of like giving them a break a little bit. So what is this? Paddle Fest in... What is Paddle Fest? Oh, it could be something like kayaking or something. Oh, sorry, I'm not completely sure. Where is the moonlit paddle? So that's for you, Leo. Sally is not here. I guess maybe she might have some kind of like things, but just keep in mind, because it could be the exes coming through. It could be old issues coming through. And at this stage, you're not going to be patient. It's going to be this again. I'll show you. I'm going to kind of like set it straight once for all. It's going to be really, really kind of like simple, just like that. So let's see next. Sounds like new Leo moon person who is closing up personal things at the moment. We have put dating on hold for now, so staying friends. Yeah, so your Leo person, yes, exactly. They need to clear something in their own head in order for them not to feel that, what do you call it, you know, stone around their neck, and that they can really move, you know, forward. So the next one is Aries. Let's go Aries. Aries. And it was 2222, my dear Aries. This is like going to be something very important. I don't know if you have any Arieses here, if any Arieses will hear it, but I have a feeling that very few Arieses will hear it when 2222 shows up, because that's a really important message. 22 is a rare number in numerology, and it appears twice. So it's going to be something that is going to be just delivered to very few people. Of course. And then we have another two, the High Priestess, and it's like just what I'm talking about. Like, I mean, I'm almost like impressed about myself right now. I really have to say, I generally, you know, that I don't like to brag about my skills, but I'm also holding my own if somebody wants to kind of like take it away from me. And but this kind of like feels so amazing. So this is like that intuitive feeling. There's like some kind of like higher power or inner guidance that kind of like is happening to the special Arieses. Ooh, the Devil. Look at that. You're getting majors. Oh my God, guys. This is almost like universe or God speaking to you. Let me see what is the third one. And it's Four of Cups. It is really interesting because generally I observe the numbers, right? I kind of like do my, you know, Aquarius kind of thing first. And now I learned that I'm Cancer over here. So like, I mean, this is kind of like what is messing me up. Ascendant instead of Libra, which is my natal ascendant. So now I actually observe colors first. And I have noticed these kind of like spectrum over here coming through. Like the universe is opening, right? And there is a temptation that is arriving right out of the gate, right? I mean, altogether is adding up to 10. 10 is a good energy for you because Aries is the first sign in basically in the zodiac. You're the first on the wheel. You have the highest energy. This is really confirming that you are kind of like really able to go in that direction. But at the same time, everything is going to look too good to be true. And you're going to say, no, like, you know, it depends. And that's why I think the messages are 2222. Because it doesn't end up in the wrong hands. because temptation is going to be so freaking huge about something. And maybe it could be powers, it could be spiritual powers, it could be I mean, this is kind of like amazing. The runes are kind of like raining from the heavens over here on her. And you know the story of Odin, who was like in a hangman position, and then he saw the runes on basically on the ground, and he immediately knew how to read them. To me, that happened with Lenormand. I just, you know, grabbed Lenormand and I knew how to read it from the get-go. It was like no hesitation. I just started to complicate it later. The more I was learning, the more I was like addressing other people. It's like, oh, I should have gone just like with everything else. So it's kind of, problem is like once when you expand your knowledge, then you start being more doubtful of everything before. That's what they say, you know. What is that expression? Cogito ergo sum, right? I think, therefore I am. So hence each kind of like thoughts, Rene Descartes, I believe, expands your kind of like capacity. So clearly here, either could be X's, or it could be X, like it could be some big struggle over a child. So this is a message to you that in that case, that your ex is very damaging to your child. And there's like something that basically is used as a kind of like game, as kind of like a token, like it's kind of like gain something, right? And yet I think because of Mercury retrograde, because that's a square aspect to you, so Mercury retrograde affects you quite actually badly during these things. And that's maybe why you have this Four of Cups, which is kind of like that disappointment. Look at that. This is like the cosmic energy that is happening. You're going to have so many entrances of that energy coming to you. This is why this is 22, and I believe it's going to be one or two Arieses that are going to listen to this. If you are the one, please just leave a note there or say yes over here, because this is not for every Aries. I really have to tell you, if you're listening to this, then you're very, very special. So this is what's going to be happening over here. The devil is going to say, trying to dissuade you to go in the wrong direction, because you're getting some extraordinary powers. And in fact, this is either a person, it could be an ex, it could be a situation that repeats. It usually the devil is connected to appealing to our greed, appealing to making it easy, appealing to taking shortcuts, and all of that is also appealing to you anyway, because you like things to be fast, you like to be very efficient, right? And this is kind of almost going to feel, because look at that, it's pulling the strings, it's just kind of like almost enjoying it. If you're a woman, it could be a gorgeous man coming through saying all the right things, and then the moment when you are like, I mean, clothes just like grab you, and it's kind of kitty, you know, kind of a thing. So this is again giving you this opportunity and option for this like huge influx of energy, but you are not even looking at this direction. This energy is mesmerizing you. So this simply means that going to be very, very strong energies coming through. Like this is not necessarily a negative energy, and I don't like it as kind of like black and white, looking at kind of God versus devil, right? The devil, we have both always inside of us, right? I mean, this can be simply that you have a Capricorn in your life, so then kind of like it changes the meaning a little bit. But look at how she is mesmerized with him. And is this like the symbols on her arm, or there are bruises, or there are some dirt? It's kind of hard to tell. I really hope it's not what just crossed through my head, and this is like there's like some kind of abuse, some kind of abusive relationship of some sort. So you guys, if you're listening to this, my advice to you is that you simply step aside from lure of something. You are given that intuition, and you had a very strong intuition about somebody, but that somebody took you off from your path, and that somebody's energy is very, very strong. You have everything that you need, but this is almost like a moth to a flame. You're just walking there. So if you can pry yourself out of that energy, you will have to step aside. You'll have to walk away from the past, and it doesn't have to be permanently, but just for time being, until you feel stronger. So that's kind of like, oh my gosh, this is like extremely important energy over here that I have. So creative guru, hello. Oh, that's Aries rising over here. So what is she saying? Having horrible issues with the appeal of divorce. The court claims they lost the recording of his, oh my god, that was totally damaging to him. Oh my God. Do they have transcripts at least? I can't believe this. Oh my God, but are there any notes? You can ask for a mistrial, but how is this going to help you? So this is what's happening, that you're like so freaking angry that this past is coming through, right? And it's telling you that you are mesmerized with the situation, but basically it's telling you, no, look elsewhere, look elsewhere. You are giving something else, you have something else you can use. This is what it's telling you, that really wants this to pull you into that black hole. And that's kind of like what you really need to do that. Oh my God. I only thought here in Toronto like there is like huge incompetency of bureaucracy, but you know, it looks like it's freaking everywhere. No, creative guru, this is telling you that it's not important. It's telling you that you feel it's important. You think that's overwhelming because that's the devil energy. Oh my God, I need it, right? That's the urge. You will have something else that is going to be way more powerful, those streams, conscious streams. So you need to pull yourself together, and you need to kind of like think, what else? That's kind of literally thinking out of box. I mean, you kind of don't have an option, but this is what's going to be. Yes, it is frustrating, but this frustration is going to cost you on top of what has been happening. I don't even want to tell you what happened to me last week with this Mercury retrograde, because I'm still not over it. And it feels really, really bad. But when it settles, I'm going to tell you, kind of like, it's just like I went through the freaking roof last 2 days. But it's Mercury retrograde, so I'm just saying to myself, just wait it out until the 20th. It's going to get better, then another 2-3 weeks, and then I'll start moving forward and addressing all these issues. Gemini, we already looked into your energy. You're already done. So, Taurus. Let's see what Taurus kind of like have. So, your timestamp is 32:02. And I'm coughing, and I'm wondering if I have bronchitis at this stage. My like, it's just nothing is functioning, and like now they told us to take any vaccination is good. Vaccination, so I got AstraZeneca, which I really wanted Pfizer, but that was the only thing from my age group that was available, so we massively went to protect ourselves. So now they're speeding up the second dose, which is great, except for those of us that is screwed in the first place with the bad vaccine, and now we have to wait 12 weeks to get a second one. So it's just like Mercury retrograde is a mess, and we have a complete idiot at the helm of Ontario government, a doofus. Like, I mean, I don't even want to talk about it because it will be just negative. The guy would not do anything. No, let me not talk about it. Taurus. Let me get off my soapbox over here. Taurus. Creative girl anytime. I'm not crying, you're crying. Oh, he'll be crying. Just like, you need to tap into that energy. You're a Scorpio creative guru, right? If I remember well. I'm so sorry I'm not able to remember you all. But maybe you should also get a reading. I simply suggest. Ooh, Taurus, you have a magician. This one also wants to come out. And, ooh, magician and the hangman. Okay, well, that speaks quite a bit. It's also, there are three major arcanas. So, I was just telling that Aries had a very strong reading, so we have another one. This is for all Tauruses, not for just selected high vibration kind of like Aries that you had, but this is really interesting. Can you see what is in common over here? So I don't know if you can see or look at it the way I look at it, right? It almost looks to me like a massive hourglass, right? So there is this cosmic energy coming through. It's coming out. But I mean, there's also that infinity sign, that the kind of like, you get what you give what you get, kind of like a magician can create something. It's almost like the opening, like, right, you see, this is to me Reiki healing. So clearly there's like maybe some healing that is needed, maybe that you need some kind of like opening in a sense, right? You want to go in certain direction, so just be careful how you do that, because the very next card, there are three major arcanas. So this is literally, you just can't buckle up. You just can't get the best out of the situation because with three majors, this is not like, well, I don't want that. You still can. And I have one client who who has this destined karmic relationship, and it's just ridiculous. It's kind of like a pull. However, that other party is really resisting that relationship, and you can tell. It's just like, I mean, reading after reading after reading after reading is kind of like telling this. I mean, not to mention that I was able to predict things to a day, like, I mean, months in advance, and really bad things. I'm not going to go and talk about it right now. But then it just started to show more and more that he is defying this major arcana showing up. By defying, he has one hurdle after another, after another, after another, and it's kind of like building the house of cards in the end, right? So it's costing both of them, because it's meant to be this cosmic kind of like connection, and clearly they're still in contact. There's like kind of hard to unglue, but it is still not being pushed forward the way it's kind of like predicting, and it's kind of like universe goes. So this is what basically means it has to happen. If you get in the way, guess what's going to happen? You're going to be rolled over. Like, it's going to be, God is going to say, who the heck are you to be in my way? Yeah, let me show you. Now you're going to teach you about Book of Job, sort of a things, right? Because the Hangman, it means that as much as you want to kind of like create certain things and circumstances for yourself, no, it's saying, look, the most important thing in the situation is understanding of where the other party comes from, because that's where the light hits you. That's where you get the positioning. That's where you get how things are really working out, right? Hangman is like, to me, change of perspective. I don't know if I have told you that story about, let's say, you're in a subway and you see a father with two kids, and the kids are very unruly. They're jumping all over the place. They're like touching everything, not wearing their masks. And I guess you're like another passenger, and you're having your thoughts, right? While the father is just like not even bothering, right? Even attending to any of that. And that's screaming and kind of like bumping people around, and then finally somebody kind of like comes and says, excuse me, sir, would you mind kind of like do something about the situation? And then the man lifts his head and he says, you can see that he's crying, and he goes, we just lost my wife and I don't know what to say. So this kind of like paradigm shift really happens in everybody, where everything that you maybe resented and hated, now you're seeing it in a situation where it affects you in a completely different way. This is asking for such a situation, for such understanding, for such kind of shift, because that's what's going to have this opening, like all this circular energy, it's happening, which means there's like something karmic happening. If you guys get in the way, the world, and like there is like this Merkabahs in different kind of like positioning, the world will reverse. And the world, the karma card, and this is going from one, I mean, Fool is sort of like a wild card. It's not necessarily, it can be placed anywhere. It's a circular, right? It just keeps going in circles and can start anywhere. But technically this deck goes from 1 to 21. So there's like going to be some accomplishment, but only if you have that paradigm shift. Only if you're able to be open to explanation and see it from somebody else's frame of mind. Only then. If you don't, that means you're going to get in a way, and I don't know what's going to happen, which lesson from Book of Job you're going to get, but that's pretty much where it's going to be, right? So Caroline, my doctor told me years ago I had a whole lot of one blood cell and not enough another blood cell. Gave me medicine. I'm not so sure what I'm doing. December solstice always helps with things. Yeah, I kind of like didn't wake up. We were supposed to be able to see the sun eclipse, and eclipses are very, very difficult things. And together with Mercury retrograde, it creates bad situations. So let me see who is next. The next one is Pisces. I'm just thinking why. Almost like looks like I had a dream about Pisces. There is like, I mean, some picture of a man forming in my head. I'm trying to remember what the dream was all about, but I can't. It's just like all I'm seeing is like that image And I don't know why I'm connecting this to Pisces, but it is what it is. So your timestamp. Let's see what we have over here. Isn't this amazing how these rich people have to have hospitals named after them, not to have something, I don't know. I'm just being resentful about how this whole process is not more universal, how we don't have this care of each other, how we still have those polarity and layers. And Mr. Bezos is sending himself to the universe right now, so build a spaceship for him, where other people just maybe cannot, like they're spending the day hungry. Kind of like, so when I see Vanderbilt Hospital, it's just like, oh yeah, I know, you were rich. Is that the Anderson's, right, mother? And then, why is Anderson having this job? Oh yeah, that's why, kind of a thing, right? It's just kind of like, it's time for all of us collectively. I guess it's my age of Aquarius waking up in me. It's just like I'm already getting the energy of me moving relatively soon, because there my ascendant is going to be Leo. I am actually noticing a big change in me, and it's kind of like more action oriented. I'm getting that fire versus just sitting and twiddling my thumbs and thinking. No, I'm kind of like more action oriented. So Pisces, talking about action, there's like 7 of Swords, 6 of Cups. This is so you. But then you have 8 of Swords, so 7 and 8 of Swords, and then 6 of Cups and 4 of Cups. So I guess the crows are one of the themes in this deck. Crows are very smart. They can do math. They can resolve problems. If you don't know about it, I'm pretty sure you do. Go and do that. So Gloria Vanderbilt is one of the richest people, was one of the richest people. I think she died on the planet. She used to have a fashion line as well. We had it in Canada called Zellers. It was a whole bunch of stuff, right? So one of the richest people in the world, basically. Technically, you can debate people who, like with the Rothschilds and the top 0.1% kind of a thing. So the Swords, you're going from 7 to 8. So it feels like that somebody's taking something away from you. 7 of Swords, look at that. He is on a lookout. He is like in the wilderness, but you can see the city behind. You can see that he's kind of dressed in an urban way. It's kind of interesting that he has the feathers falling off, and here there are crows, and almost like that they're like notifying others. It's almost like it's a notch on a belt, kind of like a feeling in this particular thing, and that should be probably moon, not the sun, of a sword, right? And this is progressing to the 8 of Swords. So it tells me that you have a will. You have a will to join with somebody. Like, I mean, this is not a meeting of the minds. There's one party who just wants to grab what they want, or the another party wants kind of like this chummy, collective, soft feeling of being surrounded with family, right? This is like coming up to 13, and it's saying you need to kind of like face some painful truth. This can mean that, let's say, if you are dating somebody, that somebody really has other plans, but you are not being told about these other plans. They're just doing what they are doing, and meanwhile, somehow you're convincing yourself that everything is fine, right? I really think this is very typical, like that this would kind of like come through if there is a third party, and if you're dealing with somebody who, you know, like people chat with people like people, then one thing goes to another, and you didn't think it's going to be a big deal talking to somebody who is separated and have a chat, but the chat goes through, oh, let's go and walk our dogs together, right? Or, you know, let's have a dinner together if you can. We just don't have. Actually, just yesterday they opened. The first stage of opening was yesterday. But then kind of like they vanish. They don't respond to your texts in the evening, or their email is really weird. Kind of like they cannot be called at work. Then weekends are always something happening, and then you start adding 2 and 2. Well, they are with somebody, right? And then you finally face them with that, and they come like with a hat in hand. Yes, I am. I didn't want to lose you, and yeah, that's why I didn't tell you. Like, I mean, so reaction should be, fuck the hell off. Pardon my language. Go away. and I will not deal with you. That's literal reaction. But you're Pisces. You're not going to have Aquarian reaction. You're going to have, oh, you poor thing. And you're going to continue in the situation. And this is like situation just telling you this is where you should be, but instead this is where you are. You think that things are going to happen, that you're kind of like thinking positive. Yes, he's telling you the truth. Oh, poor guy, he's not treated well by his wife or by her husband or girlfriend or something. Oh yeah, I'm so understanding. Meanwhile, you're the one who is not getting your needs met. You're the one who is somehow allowing others to kind of like create your life and path of your life according to their needs. What about your needs? And this is like literally where you're going to land at the end of the month. What about my needs? It's going to hit you. It's going to get there, right? So this is the Devil card here. These two combined. This is the Death card here combined. Not good. This is the Temperance combined, which I'm telling you is going to be this false belief based on somebody's stories. Going to be really heartbreaking story. Six of Cups is like, it's going to be something that you're going to feel like, oh, you poor thing, you really want to hug them. But that's a manipulation over here, right? And here you have a Hangman, where you're really trying to see that from their perspective, which is great. That always expands our horizons. But what about your needs? You need to have your needs met at the same time while looking at this other perspective. Oh my God, this just makes me mad when I see people in this situation. I had a client who had 3 kids with a man, and he was not paying her child support. She was like struggling on her own. 3 kids, people, is like a 2 full-time jobs, right? And she says to me, oh, is he going to leave his wife and be with me? And it turns out like he's not paying child support. I'm like, what are you doing? It's like 12 years of this and you're still sitting and waiting and hoping that he's going to change. You go to court, you get your child support, you start moving on with your life because your life is just being wasted. Again, it's Aquarian, it's an air energy versus like, I guess air and fire would not tolerate this kind of stuff. But like you, Pisces, you can fall for it. And this is a warning. Do not fall for it, please. If you have to, talk to somebody who is an air sign, who is a fire sign, even Pentacles, because all these energies are kind of like build up energy, and just to see what they say. Go on a chaperoned dates with somebody and ask this person to be a real friend, telling you really, really what they think, because they say that friends can really nicely predict the future of your relationship if they're real friends. You have sometimes fake friends who are going to say things just because they need somebody in their lives, so kind of keep in mind. But you're Pisces, you're kind of like able to get it, and so on and so forth. So we have Scorpio. Next, well, let me just read before that. Oh my God, you just described my last marriage. Suddenly played me by saying his wife was abusive in his former marriage. I thought I was just being kind and compassionate. Yep, you know, I know it. It's just like, honestly, I could just like when I think about some readings and what some women, and this is the problem with being an empath. Like when somebody has a sympathy, man, like, what do you guys think about somebody expressing sympathy for you? Oh, I feel so bad for you. Versus, oh God, this must hurt, right? That's the difference. As an empath, unfortunately, you absorb other people's emotions, but I feel that you can really kind of like give them the soft place to fall. Like to me, sympathy is like if somebody's standing on a bridge and they want to jump off the bridge and somebody stands by and says, oh, I feel bad for you. It's just like, versus, hey, come on. We can do it later. Let's talk first, kind of a thing, right? And this is kind of like empaths get hurt because people are not responding very well to people who can help them just because they don't have the power of being vulnerable. It's a whole bunch of psychological layers, not to go into that. And sympathy is simply something that should be forbidden by law. Kind of like, look, you either feel for me or you freaking go away. I do not need your pity, kind of a thing, right? So, Kylie, a person that blames the other and doesn't own their crap is a red flag. Exactly. And that has to be really, the older guys that you get, the more you see through this like finesse and layers and everything looks nice, I can make it work. Yes, you can. At what cost, right? I'm having a friend right now who's dating, she's dating like crazy. There are like so many red flags. Sex is great apparently, but red flags, stop sign. She's just like driving right through. And I said to her, look, I just look to be like a bad news talking to you about that. All of a sudden, like, I mean, friends are pushed aside. She's just texting with him all the freaking day long, right? And I said to her, this is not going to end well. This is not going to end well. Did you just not leave the husband because of neglect? And now, but this is the problem when you're like in a desert and you need rain, right? The rain is coming. Like, I mean, her husband didn't have sex with her for 5 years, right? And now she's getting it, so she needs it. Like, when you're hungry, you eat. I get it, but she just jumped in with 2 feet in, and I'm just bracing for an impact over here, right? So impact's an easy prey for narcissists. No, Kylie. Well, maybe. I have been a prey. I have to admit that. But once, you can be preyed once. Because what is good about empaths is like you learn how that energy felt different, and then in the future you actually do know. So, and that's what you said, and energy protection is a must. And Creative said, I totally learned my lesson about what they think are called covert narcissists. They're not covert narcissists, sweetie. They're like simply narcissists. Because, hey, if everybody comes to you and say, you know what, I just want to take advantage of you, you're a piece of shit, I think I'm the best, I think everything you have, you just have to give it to me, of course we would not be around them. So they have to develop those skills, you know, like a praying mantis, or, you know, what is that plant that kind of like kills the bugs. It has the sweetest juices and smells a meeting. So that's basically the skill they have, and it's the mask. But the moment when they know they have you, the mask is off. That's where you know. So how do you recognize this? Something that looks too good to be true is too good to be true, right? That's how you recognize them. So, okay, Scorpio. And trust them. You know, what is that, Ivona? What's her name? Said that Ivana, like, I mean, trust them when they say to you who they are. If somebody says, no, you know, I'm a bad guy. Okay, thanks for letting me know. Have a good day, right? It's just simple as that. I remember I have a friend who went on a date with a guy, and he was oogling women with big boobs, right? On a date. And she doesn't have that. So she said, I just stood up and walked away. I said, look, I just don't want to be in your way. You just continue what you're doing, and see you, c'est la vie. He was like apologetic. He was trying to woo her. No, that was it. Off you go. Because if you're doing this right away, then why to even bother going into the future? So Scorpio, you have 10 of Swords reversed. So there is some kind of healing in progress over here that I see. So this is like 1424. It is the Lovers, but it's also a Tower that is hiding in the background in your reading. So 10 of Swords is like one of those cards, and look at how positive and how actually beautiful card here is. It's kind of like, yes, I needed to get up, and I'm following the path. I need to kind of like tap into the intuition, but this is reversed, which means you still didn't dust off entirely. You're still absorbing the impact. You're still pulling all of these swords from the sword, right? It's like somebody stabs you and pull it out. It's painful, but it's necessary in order for healing to start, right? So this is where the process is. So there is like that little of a Tower moment, and that could be like that simply Mercury retrograde crappy thingy that is really happening right now, because you're Scorpio. And one thing about Scorpio guys is like they almost like challenge destiny. It's kind of like bring it on kind of a thing. You want to put a knife in me? Let's see if you can put a bigger knife in me, right? It's almost like sometimes Monty Python, kind of like, hey, you know, you can shoot my foot, and I'll shoot another one, blah, 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 right? Kind of like, remember that night kind of like whole situation. So, but what is really good about Scorpio, you have that phoenix energy. You are using this to kind of like revive. You're using that almost like this, what do you call it? You know, like when you bring this extra charger, solar charger for your phone, when you go on a hiking trip or something where you cannot plug it into anything, you're almost using that for that kind of like extra boost, because you feed off these challenges. And this really shows that victory. It shows that glory. It shows that you're coming up on top. You know, this is almost like reminding me of a situation where you feel that somebody really hurt you, somebody kind of like really that you were minimized, you felt bad about who you are, this person made you feel bad about who you are, almost like somebody dumped you in a very unceremonious way, kind of a thing. And it takes time to heal, and sometimes it feels that you're healed, but then it reoccurs and you still have to pull another sword and another and another. So it's a long process of healing with Ten of Swords. However, and this is actually better when it's reversed, however, you know, like what we usually always wonder and what we usually kind of like dream of is that somebody is going to say, oh, you know, I want to be with you, and now you're doing well, now you're recovered, now you're like on your own, now you get this all the attention, now you get the spotlight, now you are in the zone, and they're just on the sidelines, and in the end you came ahead much more. And this is what is really happening for you. That's exactly the situation you will be in. It's when you bump into your ex and you look phenomenal, right? And they are with some crappy girlfriend who is half drunk or whatnot, you know, all kind of like disheveled. And you're like, hey, yeah, nice to meet you, have a good day, kind of a thing. This is kind of like totally that energy that I see over here. And clearly, yes, that could be Mercury retrograde. It could be that Tower energy, like 10 and 6 is 16, where this kind of like rebuilding, that Mars, where you feel it's a palatable source of power that you're feeling. And that's maybe why it's also Eight of Pentacles jumping to the end, because Eight of Pentacles is like showing that all of these little details that you have been working on, that you felt so many times, and why am I doing this, why I'm building this, all these things up, and now all of these things started to make sense, and you're realizing that everything was not in vain. In fact, it only helped to push things forward, right? So Scorpio, kind of like, it's going to maybe start with an ouch, but oh my god, this is going to be such a glory and such kind of like manifestation of some kind of like really lovely energy. So yes, my ex-husband, Creative Girl says, was the focus of our relationship. I know, Barbie, yes, that's what we are doing next, but let me just do this first. Then when it came to me no longer putting myself on the back burner and having health issues, he wouldn't reciprocate. Typical, right? It's a very imbalanced relationship. He walked out on me. So if you look at it, it's very hard at that situation. But once when you stay away from it, you go, oh my God, thank you, right? That's what I said to my boss. I mean, when I raised the apartment from $100 million in mortgages to $500 million in 1 year, the thanks that I got, oh, we don't need marketing department anymore. And I was like, oh, this makes no sense. I should be rewarded. I should get something, blah, blah, blah. I was even nominated. And a year later, because I started this and now I'm doing something else and I have basically more time to explore all my hobbies, I just bumped into him. I said, I just really want to thank you, you know? And he just like was very confused because I guess he expected something else, but he's still living in that miserable corporate world and I don't. So that's it. So thank God, yeah. So that's kind of what it is. So Barbie is calling the shots for the questions, guys. So let me close this so I can shuffle. There we go. Which deck? Deck? Give me some deck. Okay, let me grab this one here. This is still here. All right. Oh, guys, let's think of a question. Remember, it's Mercury retrograde. Don't think overly about a question that is pushing you forward in a direction. Now it's a good time to think of questions that that maybe require some solidifying, that require some healing, that require putting a period on something, right? So more or less think about something that has to kind of like come to an end, to some kind of fruition, if you could. So think of something like that while I'm shuffling. Okay, got the first one. The second one. And got the third one. Ready, and I didn't put, of course, this timestamps. I'll do it now. 59. All right, guys. So, what did you think of? Kylie did say for 3. Then nobody else is saying what you are doing, what you are thinking. So let's go. If you thought about the left door, door number 1, why is this not switching over here? Did I not remove it? No, I didn't. That's why it's not switching. How about now? Let's do it. So the door number 1 is reversals of King of Pentacles and Queen of Swords. So there is like something that is really, really badly off. This almost, like, I mean, if you're talking about being in a couple, you might end up being in a couple which is going to be so cold and non-productive and things are not healed. This is just like kind of like existence. But look, she's looking at him, he's looking away, right? Versus, I mean, it's the same thing over here. They are generally not making a bad pairing, Queen of Swords and King of Pentacles. But in this situation, is really telling me that there is like mismatch of the things. There is like somebody who's maybe bringing to the table ability to kind of like think about the business, where somebody else maybe has a higher ideas. It's like not money at any cost. You know how some people will do anything just because somebody's waving $1. This is like somebody who maybe has a higher ideas, but also this is creating such a big conflict over here that I would say weirdly, this can actually be a yes. If it's a yes, this is so going to be bad for you. But I would say this is such a conflict over here, and it's not the best for you to go in this direction. So take out of it whatever you want. So Chris took number 2. I took number 2 as well for my question. So let's see what happens. Ace of Swords. It's a karma card. It's a victory. We will soar. We will accomplish what we want. We already are thinking in that direction. This is not something, it's not a frivolous wish. It's something that you have been working on for a while, and this is going to come. It's going to come very quickly, and that's very important. And Kylie was asking for 3, and Barbie was asking for 3. Can't I get new with my stacking? New car with my stacking. What is stacking? Stacking. You, not right now, Barbie. Right now, it's actually saying you better watch your budget. It's saying, yeah, it's on the horizon, so this is what's going to be with you. It's going to happen, though, a little bit later. That's why there's like a snowdrop over here. It's saying kind of like right now, it's a not growth season. Right now, it's like tighten the belt, think of your budget, but this is telling you wait for the spring. It's just kind of around the corner kind of a thing. So this can mean literally spring next year, or it can mean simply there is a period right now where things shouldn't be kind of like doing. So your savings, it's like time to save. It's time to continue saving, right? That's kind of like what this is saying, guys. For otherwise, let's see what other explanation I would have over here. Is like 5 of Pentacles is generally the card that it talks about, you know, being locked out of the situation or not being in the crowd. Like, I mean, kind of like people are not accepting you to their circles. They're like something always awry. There's something missing. 5 of Pentacles, however, is allowing you, because of that kind of disconnect, to really reconfigure yourself and think for yourself. So think out of the box, kind of like what can be a good direction about it. And here it's also telling you it has to take some time. It has to be that period. So like it's a 5 months at the very least that has to be sort of like, do not jump into that. So that would be the advice over here. So I just fixed my car, had to fix a whole bunch of stuff, my brakes, my, what is called, drive shaft, right? So what else did I fix? Air conditioner, air conditioning in the car. So now I feel like it has a second wind again. Like my car is a German car, so it should last for many more years. But every so often you have to jump and to kind of like do these kind of like things as well. So Kylie saying dealing and healing an old wound, asking if I'll overcome it. And you ask for number 3, and it says you still have a little bit ways to go about that, because there are issues for you because it was a wound, but it was a pentacle as a result, meaning it's a money, it's about how you position yourself, it's about feeling that somebody's blocking you, it's about feeling that somehow you felt inadequate, you're not good. But that healing is going to kind of like reshift you to kind of look in a positive, that, with that person, kind of like things would not work out anyway because of that diminishing attitude. So hence the snowdrop is really talking about this purity and cleanliness and kind of like rebuilding yourself from the ground. And that's kind of like very, very positive. So that's kind of like where we are going, right? So Barry, I just want so far not have to have. So this is the deal. Do not buy anything until the end of Mercury retrograde. This is going to be one of the worst Mercury retrogrades, and when I get over what happened last week, I'll tell you all about it. But I should have known better, and I still kind of like wanted to leave. It was the purchase of the house, and I just have to tell you how that went badly. So I just don't want that to happen to you. That's all I'm saying. It's kind of like not worth it. So Barbie, just wait 5 months. So this is, we are talking July, August, September, October, November, so December. So it looks like by the end of this year I would not buy anything, and then it's a time to kind of spread your wings. So whatever you can, if you can make it, right? If not, the very least I would wait not only until the 20th of June, but maybe until the 6th of July, because that's the shadow. To me, if you really look the shadow, so how this Mercury goes, it spins like that. It goes retrograde, right? But at some point, so let's say it goes forward, but then that's a little loop, that's they call it shadow, where it kind of like starts to be stagnant. And that's almost like worse. For me, this is where I get affected the most. That's where I have to fix computers, cars, etc. But then it starts moving retrograde. But then again, even though it's moving retrograde, it's moving, right? So you have to look at it like you're going with a car forward and going with a car reversed. Like when my drive shaft cracked, it's just like car's not going anywhere, nowhere. So that's actually, trust me, believe it or not, this is the worst. You're kind of like stagnating, right? So after the 5th or 6th of July, then I would say at this stage we can maybe revisit this question. So that's kind of like Kylie what I felt as well. So Barbie, if you need to kind of like contact me about it, just drop me a note, okay? The next one is Cancer. Whooch, my ascendant. I don't like my ascendant. It's just like such a bad fit with Aquarius, and that's what is making me like the really, really sweet stuff. But that's why I find Cancers very sexy. I just cannot resist Cancers. It's freaking bizarre. Like my ex-husband, he was a Cancer with Aries rising, so hence very, very out of place as well. It's a really weird combination as well. So Cancers, let's see what we have over here. I see some people did show up in the meantime. Welcome guys. If you can, just please click like. I would appreciate. We have less likes than viewers. So we have a 3 of Pentacles. Okay, it almost looks like a stoplight, but it's a macrame. You have the Karma card, Ace of Swords. And then we have a 4 of Swords. This is such a lovely expression of this card. Oh my god, it makes me I just like was overwhelmed with a feeling of comfort. It's almost like a little bird in a nest, right, where you feel that somebody's going to take care of you, right? So Cancer, there are no water cards over here, which you are water. So this is really, you have 2 swords, which is asking you to stop being stagnant. Remember, your birthday is coming up. You're probably already revving up your engines. You're probably already feeling very, very enthused, right? So 7, 8. And that's exactly it. In 8 days, the Cancer is starting. So there is like almost like a feeling or some kind of like prep energy that kind of like we are experiencing over here. This 3 of Pentacles is like about a teamwork. It's about gathering resources. It's about talking to people, getting different opinions, filtering is through, right? Don't pick the very first things, because Three of Pentacles is one of those unique cards in tarot, because usually as you go with progression, right, Ace of Swords, for example, is kind of like the entry gate, because the culmination is in a King of Swords or in a Ten of Swords, right? So it's the energy buildup that can show everything that can happen. And the higher it goes, the higher energy. With exception would be Three of Pentacles, which is extremely high energy when it kind of like gets to it, because this is talking about the mastery and expertise and somebody like putting the final touches. This is like so freaking perfect. It's kind of usually contrasted with Eight of Pentacles, where we see the details. So it's maybe kind of like the final touches before quote unquote the product is being delivered. So this to me could mean that there's like a meeting of the minds, that maybe you have a family gathering, that there's like something really nice going on, that there are like some kind of like new directions happening, right? So 3 and 1 is 4, and 1 and 4 is 5, kind of like where you really look at it, right? So there is like some kind of like momentum, there is like something moving forward, and there's like something that is going to feel like, it almost looks like you're going to burn lots of energy. It's kind of like kerosene. You're not going to burn just a regular or premium gas. You'll have to need kerosene, because it's going to be lots of energy that you're pushing something through. Also, what many people don't realize, because you're usually very subdued, you're very modest, that you are actually mastermind when it comes to business. And this can actually relate to that maybe you have been preparing something new, and maybe you're wondering if you should release this during Mercury retrograde. My answer is yes, because this is something that is stemming from the past. It took for a while to develop, so this is not some kind of like new development that you're just starting. But this is not to say that you're not going to be exhausted. You will be exhausted, and this is it. Like, I mean, this is getting in touch with the nature. Look at his big heart, and this is almost looks like it's a kind of like string of lights and some universal energy. And so there it is. You are going to have a big push towards somewhere, and then you need to get some rest. You need to recharge your energy. You need to go in that direction. So Cancer, it's all well. You just don't kind of like burn yourself out in the process. That's going to be very important. Hello, Joanna Marie Clary. Nice to see you here as well. Let's continue. Let's continue here. And I have Sagittarius next. Actually, I have some really nice ideas for the next time, because I think the break is going to be at it's going to be that weekend that we have the Caturday, 1st of July, and you guys in the States, you have the 4th of July. So I think that 3rd, I'm going to skip it. On the 26th, we're going to do monthly. So the next time, I was thinking about channeling something or somebody. So I don't know what to think about it. It could be a famous person. It could be somebody who crossed over. It could be anybody. I kind of like had kind of like feeling that maybe I should channel a mystic from the past, and to see what kind of like messages they're giving to us. But it can be anybody. It could be Elvis Presley. It could be stuff. So if you guys have kind of like suggestions, I mean, just let me know. I'm taking this in consideration. But for now, let's do Sagittarius. So, because I think that could be really fun, that we have a little bit different session, right? And to do about that. So, Sagittarius. Saggy. And you don't hear tiger barking. Oh, I have to show you. Yesterday he was picking on a geese family, and mommy goose or daddy goose didn't like it. So tiger really got shit. It was like really, really funny. John Lennon, oh my gosh, that would be really interesting. Yeah, actually it's funny. And also, if you want, I can also have astrocartography, just kind of like show you example of it and how to look at it. I mean, that can be a possibility when we have this extra like one time to do it. So just just a saying I'm throwing because I want this one thing to be a little bit different, a little bit out of the box, but a little bit kind of like that we can really get those messages. John Lennon would be amazing, as he was a visionary and he kind of had this energy, and I believe that he has lots of things to say. So good things. Eric Medus, I don't know who Eric Medus is, but I guess it doesn't matter. That could be even more challenging. More interesting actually to do something and see what kind of like messages have to be told, right? And also to see how the environment is going to react to this whole entire situation. I would put the crystals around to have the circle of protection and kind of like go in this direction. I did it once, and believe it or not, I also did once a cat, and the cat was sending really, really clear energies. So even assigning certain spots, which I couldn't know about where the man lives, who was asking me to do that, and actually I did it for free because I didn't really know if I can really take this task, but I was up to a challenge. And he ended up being so quiet. It was over the phone. He ended up being so quiet. I was like, it's kind of hard, right, when you kind of like your cat is missing or you lose a cat, that you kind of deal with kind of situation. You have to convey the messages, but you also have to watch not to kind of like take too much of this person's healing away. But I was just describing that kind of like I'm getting these images, and there was like this kind of like a ladder, kind of like a structure, and leaning maybe on a tree or something, and they're like lights, you know, like when you see those string lights that you put outside. And he was like so quiet. And then I said, hey, are you still there? Are you still there? I thought I kind of like disconnected. And he said, just give me a second. He said I was crying because this was his favorite spot. He would go with the ladders up on a tree, right? So then I knew actually, yeah, I do get a proper messages, so I can actually do that. So Sagittarius, King of Pentacles, the Emperor, but Eight of Swords. So what's going on here? It kind of like feels that there are certain things going on. You are taking good steps. It's really interesting because he almost like, no, this is a king. This is a king of the kings. There is like something in terms of, I would say, career, that you feel that you have to make decisions, that it's almost like overlap. It kind of like starts in one direction. Like if you have a business idea, then you would start with, let's say, let's build a house. Let's build a bungalow. But very soon that energy will go, no, let's build a castle. Kind of like that idea is going to get huge, right? It's going to get out of proportion. You're maybe going to lose sight. But at the same time, you're going to realize your own powers, that you can do much better than maybe you initially set yourself up for, that you set your eyes on. And this is like going to be all about potential. It's really interesting. Like, I mean, it's a fire earth energy here. But this is also interesting. This Eight of Swords is a blockage. So maybe it's a good thing to know that maybe you have, your wings have been clipped maybe for some reason, but now there's like this renewed energy, like you're feeling comfort, you're feeling educated enough, you're feeling ready, you're feeling prepared, you're feeling that you have everything, you're feeling that you are making like quality decisions. But this means that still there is a part of you that you feel that you cannot reach out, that there are like certain things that you cannot achieve. So that would be, let's say, women feeling there's a glass ceiling. Somebody else will go through it, but not me. And not necessarily a feeling itself that's really happening. So this is not just like, I mean, perception. It's just kind of like you feel that you deserve it, that you should go there, but they just still stop you. That's basically what happened to me last week, literally this Eight of Swords kind of a thing. But it could have been a little bit of self-imposed because I didn't really ask proper questions in time, so I'm not going to just blame everything on everybody else. So here we have this kind of energy of 12. 12 is a hangman. Hangman is asking for a pause in thinking, and this is happening for a reason. If you start feeling trepidation, or if you start feeling fear, or you start feeling walls and blockages, and no matter what you are doing, hello, Shafi girl. I love you. Do you love me? How much? That's it? Yesterday she was chasing spider all over the place, and it was like such a big event, and then Tiger now realized he learned the word spider, so he is chasing the spider as well. So you guys, you need to realize that you need to get out of those limitations that maybe the first try, maybe the second, maybe the third, maybe the fifth, they're all going to be futile. You need to keep trying. You need to kind of like open up to that energy from the above, instead of like, you see, this is almost like a mirror. It's like almost like inside are those locks. No, they are like some kind of like rivets, but they could as well be locks. It's some kind of like self-blocked energy, something that you're not seeing. You need to be able to and willing to kind of like go in all direction to see kind of like all the things. And I don't know what this is. It almost looks like it's some kind of tree, but I don't know, for some reason it almost looks to me like a drum. It's a massive drum, and drums and those vibrations of the drums generally can actually really switch you to a completely different plane. When I did my shamanic course, which I still didn't finish, drumming was a really big deal, because like that's how all the meditation started, like a da 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 da, and then you would focus on the drumming initially, then you would focus on the space in between the beats, and that almost like was a door. You would have to really quickly, like, you know, like when you have the blade spinning sort of a things, you cannot go through the blade, you have to go in between, but it's kind of tough because they go so fast. The same thing goes there. But once when you enter to that underworld, which can show you, okay, these are the roots, this root is rotting, that's why this is not building up for me, and you can kind of reassess this. So this is telling you that you need to remove some kind of blindfold, that you need to really look into why you feel that you have limitations of some sort in something, and go and reclaim these big powers and these big events. If this could be business, it could be a boss, it could be a boyfriend, it could be somebody who is really, maybe you put somebody on a pedestal, maybe somebody's on a pedestal but somehow it's being cut off, because it could be your fears, it could be your triggers, right? So it's a time to really face it. Whatever it is, speak out about it. Just like, I mean, there is like this, oh my gosh, what is that psychologist's name? I think Brianna something. It's called Power of Vulnerability. I would highly recommend that book or seminar on Audible, because she really talks about it, how you really need to be strong actually to be vulnerable. And this is kind of like the message that you are getting here as well. So it's interesting. The Sagittarius reading relevant to the career question I had in mind. It's really interesting, because it was kind of like really feeling that you need to reclaim your powers over here. If at first you don't succeed, definitely self-sabotage. Yeah, isn't this kind of like what this whole society teaching us? And yay, Kardashians are done. I have to brag, I didn't see a single episode of that. Just the show that is all about buying bikini and selling photoshopped images is just like not my thing. I am on the opposite side of that spectrum, kind of like, let's embrace ugliness, let's embrace this because it's kind of human. This kind of like trying to pretend is like so foreign to me. I just get so Brenda Brown, that's it. Power of Vulnerability, guys, I highly recommend. She's like fun, she's engaging, and she has, I think, even some free seminars on YouTube. I definitely recommend checking this out. So hello Knitting Yogi, nice to see you back here. So let's do that. We have Virgo next. So Virgo, the timestamp, Virgo. Let's do Virgo. What do we have over here? And we have, whoa, we have Six of Wands, we have Four of Pentacles, look, she's clenching on her purse over here, and then we have Knight of Pentacles. So it's really interesting. So your energy is coming through over here, and it's kind of like in feeling a little bit restrictive. It's kind of weird. It's almost like you're allowing yourself something, and maybe that something is a purchase. And then you're saying, because of this purchase, now I really have to watch it. I really have to think how to move forward. I really have to kind of like go in a little bit kind of a different direction, right? It is like, I've been adding up to 10. 10 is really talking about a new start, a new beginning. Now, I cannot see anything from your little furry butt. No, they cannot see anything. And you shouldn't be showing your butt to the world. You know that? What do you say? What do you say? You shouldn't be showing your butt to the world. So this kind of like really talks about being the spotlight. It's almost like just like this. It's going to shine really upon you. This is about success. This is about you getting it. This is about you being seeked upon, looked upon. Your advice is needed. You are getting your like 5 minutes, 10 seconds, 5 hours, year, whatever this really means, right? However, this is also saying that you are going to quickly sober up. And you're going to say, you know what, I am, after all, an earth sign. I need to watch my spendings, or I need to watch the progress. And then all of a sudden you're slowing things down. Maybe simply this means that something is happening with a speed and a pace that is a little bit too fast for you, which could mean a new person coming through, which could mean somebody showering you with attention, somebody showering you with accolades. And you're saying, you know what, let's see if this lasts 4 months down the road. And if it does, then I'm going to jump into this energy. So you're kind of feeling a little bit analytical, because 4 of Pentacles, it means I just don't want to lose what I have so far, being reckless kind of a thing, right? And it's being kind of like really cautious. It's maybe sometimes talking about setting a budget. And 9 of Pentacles is the energy that moves very, very slow. And it's really, as you're saying, you're waiting for something that slowly builds up. And this Knight of Pentacles has to turn around in order for this to be positive. So it's almost like you're asking of somebody a proof of some sort. And a proof, hey, you're a friend. It's something more than, let's say, this is also very much a sexual card. It's like sex with a capital S-E-N-X. It's kind of like, oh my gosh, all I can think about is sex, right? So it can mean that. It also could mean that simply kind of like you are the only game in town kind of a thing, right? But even though you understand this was kind of like your competitive advantage in the situation, you're still understanding, I really want to slow down all this process, because A, this is the pace that is comfortable for you. B, you can better judge if somebody is going to have a staying power versus something really quick in and out. So Virgo, like, it's kind of like clearly you, it's analytical energy that is coming through, and it's kind of like showing that you're having a really presence of mind not to kind of like do something reckless. Let's kind of like put it that way, right? So just do that, right? So let's see. Thankful to be Aussie and not influenced by celebrity culture. I know, Kylie, like, we are a little bit better in Canada than Americans are, unfortunately. Oh, this is mixed in over here. Or fortunately for them, fortunately for us. And not all states. I mean, California is probably more influenced. And it's just like kind of like, I really miss that, being part of Europe. Because in Europe, you're really, it's kind of like the wholesome attitude where you don't kind of like filter the person through, hey, what do you wear, how do you look. It's kind of like literally you're encompassing, and I brought that with me here. I'm hoping that I can kind of like share that what I have here with Canadians. So far not very successfully, because it's kind of like not as bad as in the States, but it is bad, right, kind of a thing. So why can't I? Chris, that's exactly it. Kim Kardashian is finished, but let me show my butt. And like, I mean, apparently for cats, putting the butt in your face is like saying I love you. Imagine if people do that. That would be freaking weird, but maybe awesome for some people. I need a Kleenex. Just give me a second. There. So let's see what is next. Is Capricorn. Chris, you and your ilk are the next. I don't know if this is that's not a bad word, ilk, right? I hope not. So let me put a timestamp over here. So we have 127:44. Capricorn. Creative, I am in the US and couldn't give a crap about celebrities. Don't understand the fascination with it, all kind of stuff. I don't understand it either. Like, why do they come on a political show? Why do they think that we have to listen to what they have to say? Why do we elect celebrities? It's just nonsense, right? So Nine of Pentacles, Five of Pentacles. Well, that's what we have here in Ontario. Not celebrity, but somebody who was born with a Doug Ford, the premier, and you probably heard about Rob Ford, his brother, who was the mayor of Toronto. A freaking dummy on crack and continuously partying, and he was in an S&M offering his wife to the employees. Imagine like how much of the stuff we didn't find out. And he was then trying to bully and harass people because the family is bullies, and they cannot put three sentences together probably in the entire family. I just happen to know their sister as well, who is going to the same store where when I repair my computer, and she's like the same very raw kind of personality, right? So now they feel that they have the right to demand to be premiers and everything, even though this guy who's a premier, he's like, grade 11 dropout. He was dealing hash when he was a kid. They were stealing from their dad. Dad had a big fuss about it. Now, like, he's like a premier of Ontario, but he is hiring his company. They're doing stickers, and there are all these COVID signs are there, so his net value went from 5 million to 50 million. It's just like it's repulsive, right, when this is really happening. Safi, let's do Capricorn. I love you, 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 I love you. Okay, so we have, so what do we have, Safi? This one was Nine of Pentacles and Five of Pentacles, Two of Pentacles. So you are kind of like feeling in the zone. There is like earth energy. Doesn't matter, guys, if it's up or down, because this is kind of like energy we feel comfortable with. So just think about it, if you're home or if you're in a hotel room or a motel room, or I don't know, like Airbnb, which is also something I don't understand. Like I once rented something with Airbnb because it was a company kind of like a thing, and people left their own stuff, and it was just like weird. I just can't, it just like felt being in a stranger's home, which we were, and I didn't feel overly that I can relax, and it also felt I would never do that kind of a thing. So you're starting with Nine of Pentacles. It's kind of like there is a feeling that you're feeling comfortable in your own skin. You're feeling comfortable where you are in life, in your position in life, in kind of like where you are like, Safi's helping. Yes, you're helping. You want to say something? What do you say about Capricorn? They're going to be cuddly? And what else? What else? Are they going to go for? Yeah, they'll go forward. And this is the Nine of Pentacles. To me, actually, this is one of the loveliest cards in the deck, because even though it talks about somebody who wants to be single, somebody who wants to kind of like feel that comfort that you can only feel. Honestly, I know I'm a little bit jaded, because once when you taste how good single feels, it's really hard to be in a couple, because it means giving up so many things. And this is Nine of Pentacles is kind of the card where you really realize, look, you know what, I feel accomplished. I feel, I'm not the richest person, I'm not the most beautiful person, but I feel, I'm good. I'm kind of like feeling good in my skin, kind of a thing, right? This is then followed by Five of Pentacles, and this kind of like tells me that in your case, you actually, even though you feel this way, you kind of like want to be with somebody. There's really need. And in this particular deck, Safi, move your furry ass, okay? Go, one way or the other. Over here. Yeah, over here. Good job. And I guess you guys are just seeing black over there. There you go. So this Five of Pentacles, look at that. It's kind of like devastation over something. And the question here is like, why is she not using this key? Why is she not opening this door? And we know the answer, right? Maybe we know we can, but we feel that maybe it's not the best for us. It's maybe best to just like lick our wounds and kind of like put things to past and kind of like deal with what it is, then kind of like going there. Maybe that could be also fear of unknown or feeling of inadequacy. This card has like so many different layers and so many different meanings, but I really don't think it's so much feeling of inadequacy, because if I just look at these two cards, are adding up to 14, which is the Temperance, and Temperance is saying like everything is possible. You can merge impossible things. So clearly you don't want to. right? Fives are also the symbol of man, right? Like, I mean, remember Leonardo da Vinci, kind of like a starman kind of a thing, right? So in the end, you are deciding that you're going to balance certain things out. And this balance is going to be very important because something is going to throw you off your balance. And this kind of like means maybe juggling two things, maybe work and a special person. Maybe everybody's like needing your presence and your time, and it's really, really difficult, right? But if you really look at her in this particular deck, she's not paying really attention to really any of that because she's almost looking elsewhere. So maybe this is kind of like a solution because this is turning out together to be 8, and 8 is strength, and strength really talks about vulnerability. Strength talks about being able to speak your mind and knowing that you might lose it, knowing that you're going to be exposed, but you're so strong that you're able to kind of like talk about it, right? So altogether, this is adding to 16, which can mean that there's like some kind of like seismic shift that needs to happen in your life. And maybe this kind of like rebalancing of the things and you walking away or not heading in the direction that you feel is not great for you. But overall, you're going to feel at home. You're going to feel that you already have resources to make these decisions. You're going to feel that, hey, I have been there and I know where this kind of like path goes, and I really need to kind of like grin and bear kind of a thing and move it forward. So this is going to be very important for you guys to go in this direction. It almost looks like that you are going to be something solo. It almost looks like these are also herbs that are hanging down, and it's kind of like a healing, and it's something that you really need. And if your needs are not met, then you're not going to try to push. It's almost like you're not forcing yourself on somebody, instead saying, you know what, let's not go in this direction, this might not end well. And in a sense, if you look at how complex can be other cards, this one card is very simple, right? There is like this waving of the wind of a sword, right? And we see this like, I mean, pentacles over here, but one is almost like a bubble, where another one is a purse. So purse is important to you guys. You're an earth sign, clearly, right? But this bubble is also something that is behind her. Maybe you had some aspirations, maybe you had some visions, but you're going to go to things that are pragmatic, that actually do make sense. And it's going to be very, very important, kind of like a thing, right? So there you go. So if it's giving up my independence and freedom for me, Cat, that's kind of like what I feel. It's just like this. Honestly, I get panic attacks when somebody is like really flirting with me, just like, oh no, does it mean now? Oh no, it's kind of like weird. It's just like totally weird. I don't know if this, and hopefully it's going to go away, but that's kind of how I feel at this stage. So Genevieve is still not there. We still have 2 signs, and one of them is Aquarius. And then, did we do Libra? No, we didn't do Libra, right? I don't remember doing Libra. At least I don't have a stamp here, but I don't remember doing it. So let's do this. Aquarians. So Kylie, the meeting of the minds between the two of us, this is almost like uncanny. Oh, we have the world. We are the world. Kind of like that came through my mind. It's kind of like something very idealistic that is really happening. Look at this 2 of Wands. And that kind of like is a nice, let's hope that the third one is also good. And the third one is Knight of Pentacles. To me, this is Aquarius card. This is like the friendship card. So guys, there is like a feeling of stagnation. Let's get this out of the way, because it almost like feels like we are in the cocoon, and the cocoon makes sense at this stage. It's almost like feels that there is like some cycle that has finished. Thank God for me. Thanks, because after what happened last week, I'm so hoping that this is kind of like behind me, right? So 2 of Wands means we are already looking in a different direction, right? So there is like some kind of karma that has been fulfilled, because this is a karma card. It's positive. It's like, ta-da, it's a release. Something that happened could have been a tension, right? Tension in this like universal plan, and now it's a release, right? It's elastic rubber band. Now it's not tense anymore. So 2 of Wands is like time to spread your wings. We are not spreading our wings yet. That's why I'm saying the cocoon. Receive, there is like a time to travel, to explore. it is clearly about relocations, about looking new directions. It's about future plans and travels. But nothing is done really recklessly over here. The planning stage is like very vivid in our head. It's kind of like what kind of world I really want to have for me, because now it's kind of like this new slate and we are writing kind of like a new story. And I think we are opening up to new friends, and we are opening to new directions. To me, the Knight of Pentacles, the ultimate friend. And it's a black horse. It's maybe somebody you don't expect. It's not the usual suspects of the people who you know technically are your friends. But somebody's going to stretch their arm toward you and consistently show to you that they are there for you. And that's kind of like where it shows. I mean, I have a really good friend who still asks me, hey, do you think it's okay that you drive me here? It's like, for goodness sake, after all these years, can't you just say to me, hey, you know, we need to go somewhere, when do you have time? It's just like, I had to tell her, like, just stop doing that. You're kind of like irritating me. You should feel comfortable with me up to this point, right? But it just kind of like shows this kind of like kindness, and that people are not taking you for granted, right? Which kind of like, it always feels right, you know? So Aquarians, this also could be us, that we are displaying this consistency, that we are again moving in this direction. It almost looks like there is like this positioning, or maybe she is seeing this happening. Maybe there is like a window in the future. This window is opening. We are seeing something. This is extremely positive reading. I'm so glad, because with us, that Uranus influence is like, anything can happen. And one moment can be nice, you can be sitting and enjoying your pina colada, and next moment could be pouring freaking rain. It's like, what? I just sat here, and it's kind of like one of those things. But this is not. This is actually more tempered. This is solid, because these are usually solid signs that are surrounding it. With Merkaba kind of like being, meaning there's like so Merkaba, this is our spiritual kind of like body, spiritual kind of aura that we have, which always has the rips of kind of like things happening. So this means it's kind of like repaired. It means that now we are kind of giving opportunity to kind of like fly in kind of like a new direction. So there is also this energy of 23. 23 is really light energy. It's kind of like good energy with foreigners. It's good energy, let's say, speaking different languages. I'm still working on my French. Every day I take a lesson. I mean, I did speak French, but I've forgotten everything. So now, even though I still go with a completely from the beginner's level, kind of like so many things are making more sense. And it's kind of like this whole things that kind of like had to go through this process is now making more sense, and kind of like we're putting really strong foundation for something over here. So this is very promising, really kind of like a good path to kind of like go and follow. So Aquarius family, that's right, it was reversed in Virgo reading, meaning over there, oh no, I'm mixing this wrong cards up, which meant that you need somebody to prove to you that they're right for you, right? Knight of Pentacles is slow. It's kind of like something that has to grow over time, but it has to be upright, which is upright is also very slow, but it's kind of like slow and steady wins the race. Look at this, I'm mixing the two decks. I'm putting wrong card everywhere, and don't worry about it. It doesn't have to be perfect. Things are made for a reason. Something tickles me in my throat. I thought I saw one more. But no. Mais non. Ce n'est pas another card. I don't know. I have to figure out how to say things, tarot cards in French. I should probably be able to do readings in French as well. That would be something different. Do you guys know Eddie Izzard as comedian? He is... I don't know what he is. Is he transvestite? Because he's kind of like Aquarius, so hence he's not allowing himself to be kind of like pegged into, well, you know, yes, I'm a man, but call me she, kind of like, what's his name, like the Kardashian clan, like dude, weirdo, who just has the money, so now he turns himself from a man to a woman who is a lesbian. It's just, sorry, just like way too much for me. But this guy, Eddie Izzard, what I like about him, he dresses like a woman, he's a man, but at times he dresses like a man. So when they ask him, mind you, like, it's a little bit more to the story. When they ask him, so should we address you as a he or she? He said, look, if I dress like a man, please address me as he. If I dress like a woman, address me as a she. And dude is a polyglot. He speaks and presents in English, in French, in German, I think Arabic. He just keeps on going and trying to do that. Just, just watch his comedy. He has one comedy that is actually in French, but for the English speaking people, and we basically learn French within those 5 minutes. He is hilarious. And I said there is more to the story because I just read recently that he demanded that he's being called she. I don't know. It just would surprise me because that's not the energy that I'm getting from him. Oh, by the way, we don't have to channel dead people. We can also channel live people. Just saying, we can do that. I usually hesitate to do that because, people have strong opinions about people who are very much alive. So it's much better to go somewhere where we kind of like know how the story ended, kind of a thing, right? All right, Librans, let's see what the Justice sign brings to us. My natal ascendant, right? So let's do that. Kylie, Greek, some French, German, Auslan for the death. Oh my gosh, that's amazing. I love it. Oh, look, Creative Girl, you love Eddie Izzard. Oh my gosh, he's so freaking funny. And like, it's such an intelligent humor. Like, I mean, he kind of like has the humor of obvious. You're telling me to choose between cake and death? Is death an option? Kind of a thing. And I don't know, like this whole thing about pronunciation of the British and American, it's hilarious. He goes, okay, he said there's small differences. You say herbs and we say herbs. That's because it has a fucking H in it, right? So that's really hilarious, kind of like a thing, right? So there we go. It's his words, not mine. Libra, you have 8 of Cups. Ooh, you have 3. You have Judgment, 8 of Cups. You have Judgment, which is a karma card. And then you have a Page of Wands. That's also really awesome. So Libra, you're walking away from some situation. 8 of Cups to me is always the understanding that something, maybe you overstayed your welcome, right? Kind of like, I feel really great over here, but is it time to go somewhere else? Like you work the same job and you're comfortable with it. Like, I mean, I have a neighbor who is a violin teacher, and she did it from the moment she graduated in the same company, doing the same thing. And like, I'm thinking like, I would shoot myself. I literally, oh my gosh, talking about shooting yourself. There was another guy on the internet, I just found out 1 year later, so that shows how often I go and check his channel. It was the Sylvester the Talking Cat. I don't know if you ever went and see that. I highly recommend it. It's very funny. So in his last video, which was the very last video, Sylvester goes to court. In the kind of like final credits, he's talking about, I guess, addressing questions from the people. And he's saying, well, you're asking me why there's such a big interval in between the videos. He said, because sometimes I really get depressed and I have to really kind of like deal with this. I'm bipolar, I have bipolar disorder, and I'm kind of like dealing with that. And it's kind of like really, I was wondering why. It was like almost like 1 year, right? That kind of like he didn't release anything. So I Googled Steve Cash and Sylvester the Talking Cat, what's happening? He shot himself. That was like the video where he was talking, and like when you see him, and this is really good to see his like that high, the manic phase, that he's very enthused and very creative. He's a musician as well. He did an amazing job. Everything that he did was him. Like, I mean, dubbing the cat, filming the cat and cats and dogs, and making them talk and interact, and basically translating their personality into human language. And then, like, I mean, loss really, really feel excuse me, real. So what sign was he? I think he was a Scorpio. He also had 7 kids, and it's just like a freaking tragedy. And then also Sylvester the cat died 5 months later. I guess he missed his dad. So this is kind of like a situation for him was, I don't want to stay here anymore. Maybe simply he needed to go back to the universe, because when you get a bipolar disease, this is almost like a big challenge that you give yourself. You're clearly very advanced personality that you're coming here. It's a really difficult condition to deal with, right? And there's also series Modern Love. I would advise, is it Modern Love? I think they only had 6 little kind of like, and one was about being bipolar, which is really, maybe it's a little bit extreme that is done. I don't know if you remember, Lati was here, she was bipolar, and she she just didn't do well, unfortunately, right? But you are not bipolar here, guys. That's the point. You are basically resolving something from your past, and you are going and heading into your own direction, my dear Libra. This is the path which you are doing it for you. You know, when we say something in life, I always do things for the other people, what about me? And usually that happens around your middle-age crisis kind of a thing, when you go, it's not the selfishness mode. It's kind of like you're realizing this balance, and this means it's nothing necessarily wrong with me here where I am, but at least I need to try. I need to take this trip I always wanted, right? I need to do the bungee jumping, whatever this is. So you're going that, and that is actually pushing you to a completely new you. Your air sign, that new you, that kind of like a renewal or refreshment is extremely important. Look at that. There is like this spreading your wings. There is like this release. Judgment card upright is like, wow, like you have released something major. You have come to this planet to do this, and this is released now, which is allowing you to go in a completely new stage. And that's why it's page, it's a new, and it's enthusiastic. Like it's almost like you're going to feel that some kind of like burden is released, and that you can feel light, and that you can feel enthusiasm. Page of Wands is like a lot of activity. So this is almost like meditative. It's almost like introverted, like you kind of like really want to do it on your own. For me, that's usually lying down in a bathtub with all the salts and just simply just breathing all the colors, because they put these colors in a bathtub, and just to have that and all the smells. And then it's just like it starts to my energy starts to flow again, right? And then you feel super energized. But look at that circular energy over here, that it's expansive, it's kind of like goes, and this is like very, very, very strong energy card. So it's also very interesting because it's almost the opposite of your energy. So this is kind of like balancing you out, because Libra is all about balancing and putting things together to work, right? So also Libra, you have to check Aries, because Aries is your counterpoint, right? So you have to see how their energy really works with this. But there is like kind of like a release of something from the past. There is like, big brownie points. One, you know, when they say paid forward, but this is kind of like you are at the 4 point where you're kind of getting it something. So this is really, really good, and I'm so glad to see that. So let's catch up over here. Yes, it's very smart humor, make me laugh so hard. Yeah, that's with Eddie Izzard. And Carrier Guru is in a Facebook group with Sylvester's owner stepdaughter. Oh, I know, it was just really heartbreaking. Jenny Sadhguru is very much alive and present. Einstein would be good to channel. You know who would be good to channel? Nikola Tesla. He was, I believe, the genius that this world has never seen before. I don't know how much you know about him. He's the one actually who invented X-rays. He's the one who invented radio, microwaves, space travel, spiritual travel, changing, kind of like dematerializing, holodeck kind of style, right? He's the one who contacted aliens. It was just ridiculous. He was also very sick, had a really high OCD. His, I think, father was a priest or minister or something like that, I guess, from Orthodox religion. And mother was a seamstress who was very creative and very light. So it's kind of like you get very two different streams of upbringing kind of like happening. And he had this thing with Einstein, kind of the Philadelphia experiment, and that was just before his death, right? So what is going on here? The Doors are next. Robin Williams, oh my gosh, Robin Williams would be amazing, but I'm not ready for Robin Williams. His energy is through the freaking roof. But definitely we will do him maybe some other time. So Chris says, my life after that, a memoir from heaven. That will be interesting. I definitely, you know what, I'm going to click on it and check it. That stuff really interests me. Okay, that's opened. Kirby, happy Caturday, everyone. She's like already doing this, her 8 of Cups. I'm walking away from the crap, and let's kind of like go further. Eric was bipolar, had Tourette's and other mental health issues. Who is Eric? Who is Eric? Which Eric are we talking about? So let's see. I'm mid-40s, Kylie, and don't clarify or label myself middle-aged. I kind of like feel I'm timeless. I am older than you, Kylie, and I guess mid to late 40s. And you know what? I just don't really care. It is kind of like the self acceptance that is coming finally my way. So, Kylie, most genius people have mental health issues, Chris. We have to, because when you question yourself so much, that simply means that you're digging, digging, digging deep, and that uncovers whole bunch of stuff. Try to dig through the planet, you're going to get gases and a whole bunch of stuff coming through. It makes a whole bunch of sense, right? That you're going to run into obstacles, but you might also run into gold, right? So that's the whole thing. So I'm going to put here that we are going to do the second doors over here, and I'm going to do the moderates. Oh, you did say Tesla. Tesla really interests me. I don't know if you know that Tesla lived in Croatia, so that's kind of like I would have even that connection over there. Oh my god. All right, let's go. The doors. Again, think about the Mercury retrograde, guys. Question, something that maybe requires closure. Like, I mean, if this finally is going to get resolved, kind of like something like that, right? So let's kind of like do it. Let's do this. Door number 1. Nothing is jumping. I'm going to cut through it. Okay, let's cut through it. 1, 2, and 3. Weirdly enough, nothing really jumped this time around, which means the energies are a little bit milder. So the very first door is 8 of Pentacles, and that's kind of like what was my wish. So this means, yes, put the final touches. Details need to be looked into that. Make sure you check all the contracts. Make sure you kind of like figure out that you have a good team, kind of like with you, for you, that sort of things. But this is yes, it might be a little bit of patience that is needed, but it's almost like in the final stage. So this is really, really important. Oh, I see. Eric Madhouse is the author of the book. Okay. The number 2, unfortunately, the answer is no. The 3 of Swords is never a good thing, and it's going to be something that you really didn't see, that you didn't predict, that you didn't address. It can be something also painful, that you're going to hurl yourself in a situation thinking you can handle it, and it can be very painful. So ouch, it could be third party. It definitely is going to be interference, bad interference over here, that it can be painful and heartbreaking, and feeling that, you know, like, I mean, you're kind of like taking away something, and so on and so forth. And the number 3 is like 2 of Swords. This talks about a conflict in thinking. 3 of Swords talks about, look, she's there, the water is behind her, she's blindfolded. Two only cards are blindfolded in the entire deck of 78. One is like really emotional, one is like really factual, but these swords are heavy. Have you ever lifted the swords? This is like very heavy, and she has to make a decision. She cannot make a decision. It's kind of like between her head and her heart. Like, my heart wants this. I love this man, for example, but my head is telling me he's no good. His actions are not matching his words. So it's a very difficult decision, because heart wants what it wants, but head is telling you. So this is kind of like one of those in Lenormand that will be card that is called Crossroads, that is really seeing which part of you is stronger. The actual solution is that it has to be in balance, that you have to balance your emotions with what has to happen. So for example, yes, I really want that, but that cost is too high, right? And that's where you kind of like rebalance it, because it's swords, after all. You kind of like want to go through these thoughts. So that's very, very important over here. So Barbie, for your settlement means that it's probably in the final phases, is just around the corner, kind of a thing. The 2 of Swords means that maybe it's not going to happen exactly in the amount that you are hoping for, and that's why it's telling about emotion. But you have to think with a cool head and saying, you know what, I need to get it done. And that's kind of like where these discrepancies between emotions and what kind of like is doable. So you need to kind of like merge these two things. Like, this is what I hope for, and this is what maybe is doable. So how do I merge this together? So that's very, very important. Kind of like that's kind of like thing. Jenny, what is mentally ill anyway. That's like saying, well, yeah, there are like people who are mentally ill. I mean, there's a woman, for example, in my building. I told you this. She just attacked me out of nowhere. She felt I was very slow in my mailbox, and she broke 3 of my ribs. She almost killed me. That's what mentally ill looks like, right? She's bipolar, right? So she is unmedicated bipolar. It's somebody who is also highly on a narcissistic scale. She's a sociopath. So yeah, I mean, there are certainly diseases that clearly need to be addressed. And let's do the cards. Let's do the cards. Oh, your grandparents immigrated from Croatia between the world wars. You're 1/4. I am, how much I'm a Croatian? I think I'm quarter Croatian too, because my dad is Czech. Both his parents are Czech. My mom is half German, half Croatian, so I'm quarter Croatian, really, if you really think about it, right? So let's go back. Oh, look at that. I have it from the beginning this time around. So I guess when I refresh my thing, then I lose the chat. So Kylie, you are first. And the message for you is acceptance. You're welcome. Walk through this gate. Walk through the door. This is also needing to kind of like feel in tune with yourself. So very important. Then Chris was second. Look at that. That's right. And a whole bunch of my kitties over here. And we did gather in the meantime. Look at, I see 19 people now. Chris, you get education. So there's like something that you need to kind of like fill in. You're like expanding and opening yourself to something. So be open to kind of like learning or kind of like having some expansive experience. So that's very important. Then we have Kelsey. Kelsey, we have support for you. So don't insist on doing everything yourself. Ask for help and kind of like rely on it as well. So you should be able, this is also a very important part of our life, right? It's just like so much we can accomplish on our own. It's surely it's very tempting to be in that solo environment, but kind of like having the support, whatever option this is, like a family or friends or a lover or some kind of structure, it's kind of like something that is really suggesting to you to go in that direction. The Swati Archangel, you have inspiration, like it's telling you kind of like dedicate yourself to something creative, whatever the creative is for you, setting a bouquet of flowers on the table, macrame, right? Painting. It's just like something is asking for you to kind of like trigger that kind of development in you. Carolyn Reed, we have for you truth. So this is either speaking your truth or helping somebody to release something. So it's kind of like eye to eye kind of a conversation that I see. Lynn, Madame, pour vous or pour toi, because like when you learn French, they make it so formal. And like, I mean, I know like in English there's no formality because you is you, both in, like, I mean, in Europe, when you say you in kind of like towards somebody who you want to respect, it's kind of like completely different structure. So French has it, Croatian has it, and I live here such a long time, I already call people by their first name. And I know now when I was dealing with lawyers in Croatia, I was just calling by their first name, and they thought, oh, how about respectfully so-and-so. So imagine respectfully Kat, respectfully Bianca, just like it's so freaking odd, right? But you have to go, and now in this Pimsleur that I'm taking French is like, would you kindly like to take a glass of wine with me? It would be just very odd that you do that. So luckily I studied French before that I really know in the other forms and verb conjugations, so I'm already kind of like filtering this out. So this is kind of like talking for you, Madame, integrity, right, Lynn? And it's saying that if you have an easy way out, just ask if this is the best for you, if your higher self would do that, or you're cutting corners of some sorts. It's very important to kind of like do it in the best possible ability for everybody. And who is next over here? Carolina, we did you. Barbie, I'm getting two. You're having tenderness and you're having simplicity. So it's almost like don't sweat the small stuff, kind of like enjoy things around you, kind of like let your guard down, like, I mean, almost like it suggests to you, you need a breather, you need some kind of like rest. Don't load yourself with anything kind of like heavy. It's kind of very important for you to have that light energy. Let's see, who else do we have here? Did I forget anybody, guys? Raise your hand if I did. Jenny Richardson, I think you're next, Jenny. Jenny, oh, you have 2. You also have integrity and exploration. So don't stray from the path. It's good to explore things, but don't let people kind of take you to the wrong path. That's kind of like a really clear message over here, right? So kind of things. What else? What else? Do I have anybody else? If I still didn't call your name, Lorna H. Lorna H. I see you. Oh my gosh. You're having honesty. Look, something like maybe could be self-image and courage. You need to kind of let go, release some preconceived notions. It says, I think, school bus. And also integrity. It's telling you like not to do things for any wrong reasons, to kind of like be courageous, to move forward. It's kind of like a release of something that you're holding on to, maybe some expectations of self, and it's just like telling you, it's just like you have to follow your own star and kind of like have the courage to do that, not to kind of like be a follower, but rather just to kind of like do things that you need to do for your highest purpose, right? Almost like you are the prophet on the mountain and what the prophet would do instead of being a sheep. So that's a really clear message over there that I see. Creative Guru, did I do it for you? I don't think I did. Thought something fell, but it didn't. You're having expectancy. And that's good. Like you're creating that placemat for things need to come to my life, right? There's a gift. There's expectation. It's actually really good to have. Like, I mean, I always forget whenever I buy a lottery ticket that this is like, I mean, second part of the equation. I just buy a ticket and say, okay, I'll get 70 millions. And I never do because this is the part that you really, it's almost a bigger part that you need to work on. So you need to envision what you want to have come to your life, and you need to really work on it. Stay in those thoughts, kind of like evoke that energy coming to you, and it's very, very important, right? So yes, Chris, did I draw you? I don't know if I did. I think I did, but I don't know, for some reason I'll give you another one. Oh, it's not 1, it's 4, freaking 5. You're having respect and then obedience and joy. Are you stopping on your stop signs? And you have a support. And again, don't be too proud, don't be too independent. There's like something really nice happening, something very respectful. It's kind of like following traditional rules, but also at the same time it's saying you need to open yourself up for kind of like being weak, for asking for support, for asking for help. And that's kind of like very, very important over there. So let's see, Barbie and a car. What is the guidance over there regarding her car? And it's telling healing, and she is like blindfolded over here, and she has a cast. So again, this is a message that this is not a good thing, that this actually can be a really bad idea at this point. So sticking to what you had over there with your with your cards over there. So in the meantime, guys, we have a week. Give me until Friday, because I also want to prepare who I'm going to channel, right? Jenny Richardson, I did you, I guess. So if you have any suggestions, just drop me on. Jana Mary Carey, let's see. You have synthesis. It's interesting, you have this rainbow, and it's maybe talking about you expanding your acceptance of yourself and your universe. I don't know if you need to get out of closet, but it's kind of like certain things are going to kind of like fall in place for you, and it's going to be very important to do that. And Lynn Westbrook, did I do it for you? I don't know if I did. I just truth. It's kind of like eye to eye. It's kind of like release, being support system for somebody, or asking for support. And Kylie, also another card for you too. It's surrender. Oh my gosh, look at this, like the whiteness, and the white is like really high energy. You really need to connect and stay within that higher self. It's kind of like, what would my higher self do? It is very, very important to kind of like look in direction. Oh my gosh, I love it. You were like very talkative today, and I hope I kind of addressed everybody over here. So integrity is doing the right thing when nobody's watching. That's exactly it, right? Oh, knitting yogi, that's it. Thank you for speaking up. You can even have whatever you need to do. So you got one, and you got vision. It says soul, sight, and future, and it's green. It's all hard. It's kind of it's almost telling me there is like some kind of leadership connected with that, and that you need to kind of like follow your star. You're not a follower, you're a leader here. It is really talking about it, and you need to integrate these things: future, sight, and soul. So soul is already what you're dealing with, your work, with your workshops. Sight is kind of like spotting the good opportunities or details, which you being a Virgo kind of like is, you're fine-tuned to that. And the future is where I'm heading with that. So it's actually a really lovely card to get as well. So let's get one more for you, Yogi. Faith, trust it, jump in. This is almost like a fool's card, right? Sometimes it's never a good time for certain things, like kids or pets or buying a house. It's always like, oh, what's going to happen? But saying just jump in. It's going to be a new adventure. So there's like something new. There's a new process, and just go for it. Just kind of like say yes to it. So that's very, very important here to do it. So I hope if anybody wants an extra card, just speak up now or stay silent forever, as they say. I need to go on Picky Tiger. Oh, look at that. Playbacks 222 and chat rate 2. It's just like I have all these twos today. Something really big will be happening today, guys. Really, really big. So stay tuned. Open up to big ideas. 222 angel numbers are really talking about building big structures, building big systems. It almost sounds to me that maybe something wants to communicate to me right now. Like possibly it's about this channeling that I'm going to do, and maybe this is confirmation that this is a really good idea. So I am really glad to see that. So okay, go and make some eggs and take a pain pill. Sorry to hear you in pain, and you guys have all beautiful week. Let's play some sign of music. Oh, I love you guys, all of you, so much. You have no idea how much you recharge me, like when we spend this time together. It's really so meaningful to me, and hopefully it is for you as well. Alrighty, so let's do something really, really playful for the end, 20 seconds, and say goodbye, and I'll see you next Saturday, 19th. I have to figure out who I'm going to channel. I'm going to meditate a little bit on it, because honestly, one person who came to mind was Crowley. Crowley did thought tarot. He was like very much into that, and I believe he would have something to say, and I do it with thought cards. I think it would be really powerful. So I'll see. In the end, probably I'm going to pick it up first time, and then we'll go from there. Maybe we can do more than one. Talk to you guys soon. Love you. You know where I am if you need a reading. And until next Saturday for live, I wish you all the best. So take care and check the Instagram dailies in the meantime. Okay, all the best. Did I record this just in case? I hope I was recording this. Yep, I was recording this. So just Mercury retrograde. You can't risk it anymore, right? Eventually come and meet me.